Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I feel like having a beer, so you've seen the title, you know I'm going to have some of this. Coors, the worst beer I've never had. Why do I want to have this, and how come I've never had it, and why is it so bad in my opinion? Well, it's not. I haven't actually ever had Coors beer, but I wanted to once, and this whole thing is kind of inspired by a video I saw, I've mentioned before. Kinsey Burke, she's done some great stuff with the retro scene, and she also pairs a lot of her video reviews and games that she's picked up with a nice beer that goes with it. And I think one of her earlier episodes, somebody had asked her, what's the worst beer you ever had? And I can't remember what her answer was, but it suddenly made me think of this, Coors. Now, when I was pretty young, teenage years and stuff, I was never really much of a drinker. I'm still not, despite doing some Blade Runner whiskeys recently and stuff. But I was very much like most people, inspired by what I saw on TV. And I will hand it to the Coors people. They had some pretty good ads back in the day. I remember there's the one of the cowboy wrestling the cow and, men being manly. And heck, there were even some with a very young Mark Harmon going into his fridge and having a nice cold Coors beer. So I just, for whatever reason, unlike Budweiser, Coors is kind of the one that always stuck in my head. Now, I remember in the 90s being invited out to a very fancy sort of bar downtown. And my friends who were there with me said, hey, what would you like? And I thought, oh, this is sort of one of my first times ordering something in a bar. I don't know, I'll get a beer. Sure. What would you like? And of course, it's being one of these fancy bars downtown. It's got all these craft beers and Hefeweizens and, India Pale Ale, stuff that I have had since and I really like and I have quite an affinity for. But I didn't know any better back then, so I just blurted out the first thing that came to mind, and that was, I'll have a Coors. And my friend beside me just shook his head, and he put his hand on my sort of shoulder, and he just said to the bartender, no, he's not having a Coors. I can't even remember what I ended up getting that night, but it was not going to be Coors. My friend was not going to let me have it. So when Kinsey talked recently about what was the worst beer you ever had, I just thought to myself, you know what? I've never had Coors. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to crack open one of these guys here, and I'm just going to put it into a proper beer glass, but I'm going to put it that way so that we can see how it looks as far as color and light and stuff. Actually, let's rotate it there. That looks a little bit better. All right. Let's crack open a Coors and see what Mark Harmon was talking about here. And the other reason I put the plate is I might have a little bit of a spillage. Let's pour this out. Now, I've had some pretty lousy beers as well. There's some stuff in Vancouver. I don't know if it's a well-known brand in Canada or not. I don't even know what it's called, but the can looks like a box of dynamite. It might even be called dynamite beer. I'm not sure. I tried Googling that before doing this video to see if I could actually find the name of it. It was the cheapest stuff in the liquor store, and when I drank it, I was like, ooh, I know why that's cheap. Whoa. And then there was something else I had in the States. I want to say Pabst, but I could be wrong. Anyway, yes, I've had bad beers. Oh, and there was some stuff up in Kelowna. Anyway, okay, getting off track. I've had bad beers, and I've had a lot of good beers. Let's see just how Coors compares. Now, it's a very light color. It's probably not coming through too well on the camera there, but that is an extremely light-colored beer. Let's try it out. Bottoms up. Well, what do I think of that? It's actually a pretty decent beer, that's not bad at all. I don't know what people are talking about. It's not exactly, it's not like a craft beer. It's very slightly sweet. I'd almost put it in almost Hefeweizen territory, like a light, what do you call it? Wheat beer? What is this anyway? Brewed with 100% Rocky Mountain water since 1873. Well, it's not in any way identified as being a wheat beer, but you know what? It has that tone to it. It's actually, I'm really surprised. I quite like it. For the worst beer I've never had, now that I've had some, yeah, that's pretty decent. Let's have another gulp. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, I am surprised. It's quite tasty. I'm sure in the grand scheme of beer aficionados, it's probably missing a lot. I mean, I guess it's kind of like drinking 7-Up in the beer realm. A lot of people, I'm sure, would say this is not very. There's no like dynamism to any of the flavor. I can't say it's really knocking my socks off compared to stuff, and it doesn't have much in the way of hops. But it's got a nice sweet flavor to it. It's I would put it on par with like a, you know what it is? It's like a carbonated Corona. If you've ever had Mexican Corona in a canteen or beer bar or anything like that, this is a lot like Corona, but just carbonated. It's very good. I'm really pleased actually. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this 6-pack. All right, well that's the video. Coors, the not worst beer I've ever never had. It's actually, now that I've had it, I take it back. It's actually very good. And until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.